a rain delay before the game started. It lasted almost 6 hours after it started. So much for your great travel spot and all of that. Although a lot of time that factors into play the next day, more than this one. But Lance Lynn, we've thrown 6 straight starts where he gone 6 full innings, and last time he was with 1 strike away from getting out of the first, and then ended up scoring 4 runs.
And he settled right down.
He went and threw 7. He's been spot on all year, and Texas is doing nothing but making their backers money. Although it is a step up in class after being 3 games in Detroit to be in Tampa for the weekend.
So here we go. That's the 4 at 4 brought to you by MJ Christensen, located in Boca Park. We hope you'll do business with them if you're in the market to buy something new or to have your jewelry appraised or insured or repaired. MJ Christensen is the place to do it. Now in their 81st year of business here in Las Vegas. MJ Christensen at Boca Park. So what we're going to do is go through each team. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on each team because we've got 30 teams to do it in about 30 minutes, and there's a break in there. So, it's going to be less than a minute per team. But we'll try and make some points. We'll just go in order of the standings, starting in the AL East with the Yankees, who are 52-28. They've won 9 of their last 10. Does look like Stanton's not going to be out till August, but we know that at this point injuries just haven't affected this team all year. So why would they start now? They probably need another starting pitcher.
Yeah, when we look at the top 3 teams, it's the Yankees, the Astros, and the Dodgers, and I would expect to see 2 of those 3 teams in the World Series. I really would. But the Yankees, despite their quote-unquote public nature, they're number 4 in profitability this year in MLB. All right. And they've been a fairly strong over team as well, which, given the nature of their bullpen, usually the good bullpens correlate pretty well with unders. Maybe we see some unders coming from the Yankees over the back half of the campaign.
Just as recently as a couple of weeks ago, people were talking about the American League wild card and the race for the 1 open spot. There are 2 open spots. Tampa Bay has come back to the pack. I think Tampa Bay has done it with mirrors. What was supposed to be a really good starting pitching and now isn't. Because Blake Snell can't, I don't know what's going on with Blake Snell. Glasnow's out until at least August now. And even Charlie Morton's starting to show a little crack in the armor, although he's still pitching well. The bullpen has gotten a tremendous amount of use and is now short-handed. They're not hitting much. Tampa's not automatic for the wild card by any means. And I think there might be a team that's going backwards right now.
Other than what do you have? Tommy Pham and Austin Meadows. And who else is hitting?
Well, Yandy Diaz has been really good. Lowe, the rookie Lowe, has been quite good. But these aren't big names who are used to pennant races.
Sure, and it's not a lineup that I trust to trade runs with the better offenses, So it's a Rays team that is now sub 500. The Tampa was hugely profitable if you bet them early. Well, they're down 2 units for the season and obviously heading in the wrong direction.
Red Sox still haven't really cut loose. They're 44-38, which all things considered really isn't bad. Are they a team that's going to get hot in the second half? And are they a team that's going to buy at the deadline? I would think that the Red Sox are going to be active in the market come trade deadline. They're not just going to roll over and say, well, we won last year and we're not going to try this year.
Sure. From a profitability standpoint, there's only one team that's over 500 in the bottom quartile, and that's Boston. They're minus 15.5 units so far this season. And they've been one of the stronger over teams, one of many strong over teams in MLB, because the bullpen stinks. All right, and we've seen it over and over and over again, costing the game against the White Sox, the other day, costing the game against the Jays over the weekend. And, when you're losing a game or 2 every week because your bullpen can't get outs, it's a problem that, in theory, if they're buyers at the deadline, Boston might be able to fix. And if they do, I don't know, they'll be bottom quartile in profitability by the end of the season.
We can skate through Toronto and Baltimore quickly. The Blue Jays have a 6.5-game lead over the Orioles in the quest to finish 4th in the American League East. And that's about all you can say. Toronto's got some good young talent, but it's not ready yet. The Orioles are in a complete rebuild. And, if they can sell off some pieces at the deadline and get something in return, I think they will, particularly Toronto. Toronto has more to sell than Baltimore.
The Orioles have played 39 home games, and they're minus 19 units at home. That's hard to do.
They've been outscored by 191 runs.
They're on pace to lose more money than they lost last year when they were the worst team in MLB by a wide margin. All that being said, of the two, I think there's probably more money to fade Toronto, though their bats have come alive over the last week. And if Toronto hits, they're going to be a really strong over team because that pitching staff, is, top to bottom, is pretty dismal.
In the AL Central, the Twins continue to lead, and they continue to lead by a lot. 8 games ahead of Cleveland, Minnesota 52-28. The offense has slowed down a little bit lately, but that had to happen. The Twins are contenders, and in that the Twins aren't always going to contend, despite the fact they have a good young nucleus, I would think that Minnesota is going to seriously take a look. If there's a star out there that they can add, particularly in the pitching department, I think they'll try and do it. This is a year for Minnesota to take a shot and go all in.
I'm with you 100%. That being said, I don't care what happens for the Twins going all in. They're not better than the Yankees. They're not better than the Astros, and I don't think they're going to win a playoff series against either one of those teams. But for the purpose of the regular season, we're talking about the single most profitable team in Major League Baseball over the first half of the campaign. And obviously, given their hitting prowess and their home run hitting prowess in particular, and their hitting prowess against lefties in particular, no surprise, they've been a strong overbet early on. Although, as you said, the lineups come back to earth a little bit. What do you think of that starting staff for Minnesota? Do you think they're going to...
It's shaky. They need a pitcher.
Yeah.
And Barrios is very good, but I don't know if he's a number one. Perez has kind of regressed some after the great start. Odorizzi is starting to regress a bit after the great start.
So he's top 5 in profitability still.
I know, but there's some sell signs on him.
And in general, with the Twins, who are number 1, again, in profitability now, at the end of the year, are they still going to be number 1, or are we going to sell Minnesota?
I don't know. I'm just worried about tomorrow, basically. The Indians are interesting. They're 44-36, and all things considered, that's actually really good. Because with the pitching staff has taken some tremendous hits as far as injuries concerned. They haven't hit, and yet they're 8 games over 500, and they're a wild card team right now. And so for all the problems the Indians have, they're playing pretty good ball, and that's a positive sign because they actually do figure to get better as the season goes along, assuming they can, they get a couple of arms back. If that happens, this team's live. The flip side of it is, though, if they still have to keep on relying on the young guys who they've called up, I don't know if they can maintain the pace.
Sure, but, we are talking about long-term injuries to several of the aces on that staff. But what's happened because of those injuries is that an Indians team that was routinely, there was no way to make money with Cleveland at the start of this season, and now there may be a chance.
Yeah.
This is a team that we were wrong about. We thought they were dead, you and I both, and in fact, we're not politicians. We're allowed to be wrong and change our opinion so we don't get burned doing the same thing.
The White Sox at 37-41, not a contender, but a pleasant surprise this year.
Oh, yeah.
I think the market indicated they were a team that might have trouble winning 70. But it looks like that's going to happen. Looks like it. You don't know for sure what's going to happen in the second half. And the pitching isn't good. But there have been some pleasant surprises this year. And the main thing for White Sox fans is that the future really does look bright.
Sure. Number 6 in profitability through the first half of the campaign. Of course, Giolito as the breakout pitcher of the first half. That being said, I don't have a buy sign on Giolito moving forward. And the White Sox, to me, are one of those teams that maybe they continue to play at this 500 level for a while.
I think they'll probably drop off.
But they're going to have a swoon. They're the type of squad that you can just see it coming. They're going to go 3-17 over a 20-game span, and there'll be a whole lot of money to be made betting against Chicago at some point between now and October.
The Royals are 28-53. What's interesting is they're minus 60 in the run differential, which isn't that awful for a team that's 25 games under 500.
Mm.
And that might tell you the Royals might pick up a little momentum in the second half. They're not going anywhere, But I don't know that this is a team that I would readily be anxious to fade. And part of the reason for that is they do have some young guys that are pretty interesting. Now, the pitching is awful, and that's a big problem for Kansas City. So even if the offense continues to improve, I don't know how many games they're going to win. And the Royals might trade off a piece or two because they're a couple of years away at least from contending, and a veteran on that team could be attractive to somebody else. So that could make them get worse.
Who do you think there'll be a market for? Would it be an Alex Gordon type?
Yeah, he can help. I mean, he's not a star.
No.
But it depends on what somebody offers in return. And it's not a premium position. I don't know what the demand is for Alex Gordon, but that type of player could be interesting. Their nucleus is not going to get traded. Whit Merrifield isn't going anyplace.
No.
And he is the nucleus. I mean, he's the star. And Kansas City's kind of between a rock and a hard place. So I don't know that they're going to be able to do much. I think they would like to sell if they can. But the most sellable piece was probably Salvi Perez, and he's out for the year.
So much for selling him. Although, worth noting, Kansas City has played with life over the course of the last week or so. They've not looked like a dead team at all.
The Tigers are a dead team.
Yeah.
But they don't care. Look, and then we do know this. Detroit is going to make 2 trades. Matthew Boyd and Castellanos are going to be someplace else. That's a given at this point. So the question is, what will they get in return? What they should get in return is hitting prospects, because they've got 2 great pitching prospects who should be ready by next year in Casey Mize and Matt Manning. This is going to be a really good rotation down the road if those guys stay healthy. So get as much as you can in return for Boyd and Castellanos in terms of bats who project.
You need to explain this to me, okay? Why on earth would you trade Matthew Boyd?
Because his value will never be higher. That would be my opinion on Boyd. I don't think he's this good. He's having a great first half, and I think you sell high.
So if Boyd was good, you'd say we don't want to trade him. Because this is the Tigers
team
that said
okay.
Because Tigers that said Verlander, yeah, you can go. Scherzer, all right, you can go. And I'm like, you never trade an ace.
No, but I don't think Boyd's
never.
an ace. I just don't see Boyd as an ace.
11.4 strikeouts per 9.
I think he's had a really good season.
Gotcha.
I think he's a good middle-of-the-rotation starter. And that's what he'll be if he stays in this team, because the other 2 will pass him. Manning has the stuff to be insanely good. And Mize is just going to be really solid. It all depends. But don't give him away. Don't give Castellanos away either. But if you can get particularly some hitting prospects for them, get them. Astros. You know what? We might actually have to do 2 shows on this.
we can do quick hitters after the break.
Yeah, I would do some. We might hold off the National League for Monday. Not a bad idea. Yeah, I think we will. That way we can relax and go through the American League East, West comfortably.
I'm hoping that our discussion is providing our listeners with some insight. When you get to talk off the cuff about baseball, Dave, some of the stuff you say is absolutely worth paying attention to. I'm sure our audience will take as much of that as they can get.
Okay. Now we'll take the break.
The Las Vegas Sports Line.
With John Lyons from Lyons Physical Therapy. The ratings for LPT are as good as they get, 5 out of 5 stars. What makes Lyons Physical Therapy unique as a treatment option?
Yeah, Dave, and we're thankful for that. We've had great patients and customers over the years that have given us honest reviews. I think what separates us from other companies is that we pay attention to our patients. We individualize their treatment plan. We take our time and use our manual therapy skills and our hands to actually work on every patient. These patients aren't just a number. We're actually trying to help them, and we listen to their needs and what works best for them.
LionsPTLV.com, 702-476-0222.
Follow us on Twitter at the LV Sportsline and at ESPN Las Vegas.
Hello, friends. This is Thomas Johnson from Joe's Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crab. Need a great idea for lunch or dinner? Your best bet is Joe's, one of the most popular dining destinations on the Strip. Joe's provides the ideal setting for private parties with accommodations for up to 150 guests. Stop by to see us at the Forum Shops at Caesars and ask for Thomas Johnson, your maitre d'.
So, and this is particularly good on weeknights. In the summertime in Las Vegas,